So now the intensity or hunger for God is oftentimes stimulated by the horrific influence of the circumstance. So now it is funny, but you don't really have a drive for God unless you are going through something negative. Wouldn't it be wonderful if when things were good, you had a drive for God, and when things are bad, you just praised Him anyway? But it doesn't work like that. Every time I noticed, and I studied this character, but I couldn't find all of the historical facts, the records, whether he was dealing from exile, from a national point of view, or whether an individual point of view. It does not say, but what it does say, that whatever you are going through that brings you to your knees is what gives you the hunger and the intensity to reach for God. God orchestrating and using circumstances that are very horrific to cause your very soul to cry for Him. This makes the natural pain become what is necessary for the growth curve spiritually. If I am going to grow in God spiritually, it has got to be stimulated by a horrific attack of the enemy naturally. I do not flow in my prayer room and cry out for God unless I have been attacked horrifically by the enemy who is trying to destroy me. At the end of the day, I have discovered that the enemy will use anything he can to destroy who you are. He'll use people in your neighborhood. He'll use rumors. He'll use family members. He'll use anything possible to destroy you from being what God has called you to be. Yes, but at the end of the day, I will overcome. And He wants to break us down to our knees and bring us to the place where we capitulate totally to the circumstance He puts us in and under. But the mistake he makes is when I am hungry for God, it is because the reason of the intensity of the test that I am going through. So what should have broken me on the left really strengthened me on the right. Because He puts me in an attitude where I have to survive. And the only way I can survive is by reaching out to the power of the living God. And so now it seems that hardship becomes the flagship of my move toward God. And at the first impression, the framework is the refrain may appear to give a static quality to the psalm as a whole. But in reality, he opens it. He is actually moving from mere despair to what we might call surging confidence. He is being processed. He is being processed. He is being processed. He is being processed. And he is not just jumping from sorrow to immediate joy, but he is going through the process. If you notice, after each one of the limits of our crying times, the mood changes. He is switching emotionally because his situation has him out of control. And the situation of the pain is that he is down, but in the midst of the pain, his soul is reaching for God. So each time he feels a pain, he feels an anointing. Every time the pain hits, his soul cries for a remedy. But the remedy cannot come from the pain that is causing him to cry. The remedy has to come from the other side of the pain. That is to whom he is crying. So when the pain hits him, he goes down. But he goes down far enough for the possibility of future praise. But in the middle of calling for future praise, you have to take the possibility and take the reality. What he is saying to the devil is, yes, you got me now, but it's not over yet. Because if you have me now, it doesn't mean I don't have a possibility. And if you leave me with the possibility, it will become my reality. Yes, it will. Oh, I'm talking about praising him now. But after a while, I will be praising him. Tell somebody it's not over yet. Don't throw in the towel. It's not over yet. So now the psalmist then describes his plight, and with the simile drawn from nature to convey the power of his thirst. Yes. Can I take off my jacket, Dr. Wheeler? I know this is my first time here, but I do have home training, So now, let's understand this. This is a simile drawn from nature. And he imagines a dry steep of the country because he envisions a deer thirsty for water. Now it appears that he is focusing on the deer. But that is not really the real motif. The principal motif running through the psalm is the thirst for water. I've got to get back to where it flows. Have you ever been through something that sort of sapped the very life from out of your being? I mean, it is taken from the outward, but it has gone until it's penetrated to the inward, until the very mechanism by which your mind functions has almost been brought to a screeching halt by the thing that you have to deal with. I don't know if you have ever been there. I've been through something that will cause even your creativity and your intellectuality to struggle, to keep your very life going, to the point where you want to get in bed and not come out and give up on life. So it is here that the writer is expressing now that like an animal, he is in a very dry place, and it has invaded down into the depths of who he is. It's one thing for something to shake you up on the outside, but it's another thing for something to disturb where you are.